Hi guys, it's Allie with Chaos Monkey, and get my tissue out of there. I just wanted to do a quick video. Well, not quick. This will be a longer video. This is just catching up and my whips and my finished items and this, that, and the other thing, because I haven't done one of these in a while. So I'm going to go ahead and start knitting on some socks and get the cat hair off my background. And my socks are, I don't think I've ever shown these, is Patton's Croy socks in Deep End. And I like Patton's because it is a super tough sock yarn, 75% wool, 25% nylon, and I think my cat is going to start a sneezing fit, so just a heads up. And also, I'll pop right into an acquisition here. This bag I got from Teadoddles, Christy Cook at Teadoddles. It has llamas, excuse the cat hair. Isn't that adorable? And I love the contrast fabric. And then if you see the inside, look at that green, and then there's her tag. And she's also got a yarn guide. And I love it. I love it, Christy. Look, it fits two at a time perfectly. Plus the socks and everything fit so nice in this size. So I do like to buy from everybody when I can on Etsy. She does have an Etsy shop. I'll link it below, and I'll link her YouTube channel. I mean, and where was I going with that? Oh, when I buy stuff from you guys, it's under my real name. I go by my middle name, so you won't even know it's me until I'm like, hi, I got this. But while I'm at it, I'll just go ahead and go into acquisitions to this one, and this one is from Ella from No Catchy Name. She started making these really cool bags that have this type of opening, and she calls them crab bags, and I love it. And I bought one of the shorter ones. She has taller ones for like crochet hooks and things like that. But I bought this because I thought it would work for what I'm going to show you that it worked for. So this is the Beauty and the Beast fabric, so of course I had to have it. So I bought this little tiny crab bag, and this is what I use it for. So this is a knit crate box I got forever ago, like freaking 15 years ago, and when Knit Crate was owned by different people, and the bags were red, and they gave you, it was a lot more expensive, and I was working at the time so I could afford it, but it was over $50 a month back in the day. It was like $55. And they gave you, it was a sweet extra, like a something to eat usually, or a lotion, and then they would give you another, two different types of extras and the yarn and the pattern. But anyway, I got this way back, and this was actually made by the Sexy Knitter. She has an Etsy shop where she does these knitter's tool tins, I think is what she calls them. But anyway, I've kept this ever since, and I use it, and for some reason, check that out. This has nothing to do with the Sexy Knitter. She just bought the white tool tins and then put the Knit Crate sticker on. But look how the whole thing's just discoloring to a red. Isn't that crazy? The white is breaking down. So anyway, ignore that. It looked good in the beginning. And I think she uses completely different cases now, and she does them custom. So if you want to get one from her. But anyway, I've kept it ever since, and it basically has got everything you need. So when she puts them together, I think now she's got everything plus a little needle gauge and blah 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 blah. This is not like hers, so this is what I've thrown in over the years. So I still have a measuring tape. That's actually from the Loopy U. Scissors, row counter, stitch markers. These stitch markers she actually were from the Sexy Knitter. I've got tapestry needles, a little crochet hook, I said scissors, a stitch holder, a cable needle. Anyway, you get everything you need in here. And this is actually a needle threader for cross stitch, but I use it for threading my needles with yarn sometimes if I want a smaller needle. And then this is magnetic with hold all your smaller needles. So anyways, I carry this anytime I'm going out and making stuff. Oh, that's not closing. I have lost my perfect way of closing this. But once I get it closed, there we go. But I couldn't actually throw it in my bag anymore because I was afraid it was going to pop open. So if I throw it like in the sock bag, with it being in my purse, I was always afraid it was going to pop open, so I didn't really get to take it with me very much anymore. And so that's why I decided to get this little bag from Ella, long story short, and it fits perfectly. So if you have like an Altoid tin, which is basically what this is, like a breath mint tin that you use to keep all your stuff in, then and you're worried about that, then these little bags are perfect for that because it fits in perfectly. And now I can just grab the whole thing and throw it in my bag, and I don't have to worry about it popping open. So anyway, those are my acquisitions. I wasn't going to do those already, but I totally did. But yeah, I bought those two things, and I think I will go ahead and show my friend Lanny. I sent her, I'm leaning, hold on. I sent her a box earlier, last month, because it's already June, so in May I sent her a box of goodies, and she sent me back a couple of items I just wanted to show off. So she gave me a little tiny blanket. Isn't this adorable? You guys, look at that, out of fingering weight, that she did little tiny granny squares, and she sewed them all together, and this was actually a blanket she made for my 18-inch doll, so I just wanted to show that off. And then she also sent me a lap blanket, which is like the perfect size, out of fingering weight, out of multiple colors, out of little tiny shell stitches. So I just wanted to show that off as well, because she totally didn't have to send me anything, and it was perfectly okay. And I am thrilled. So thank you, Lonnie. And so I'm going to go ahead and start knitting on these socks. That's pretty much all my acquisitions. If I think of anything later, I'll let you know. Oh, if you're wondering about the ring, I'm not married, I'm engaged. But I couldn't wear my ring because I lost a lot of weight. It didn't really fit right in the first place, and then I had to start wearing it on my middle finger. And then I started having a reaction to the metal. I don't know if you guys know, but I have fibromyalgia. And I'm disabled, and I have no income, and it's very, very frustrating. I had to stop working in 2015, and now I'm doing weird things like reacting to metals. I can't wear jewelry, all of that stuff. So any fibro people, you probably completely understand, or chronic illness people. So this is actually a groove ring, and I got the one that looks like Aurora Borealis. I don't know if you guys, not all of you guys know I'm from Alaska, and I want to go back, but I can't afford to live there and be disabled. But I love the Aurora Borealis, so that's why I got that ring. So, and also this is a burn. This is not a birthmark or anything. And I have a burn over here that's fading finally, and then I burned my hand over here. Because another thing with the fibro is I get clumsy. So if anytime I'm near the oven, I will burn myself these days, no matter how careful I try to be. I think when I did this one, what happened was I was cooking a pizza for my boyfriend / fiance, and the pizza started to slip out of my hand, and so as I went to catch it, my hand bumped the top edge of the oven. So not the door or anything, but, you know, like the top of the oven, and right there at 400 degrees. So I really want it to fade. If anybody has any like tips or tricks to get burns to fade, that would be nice, because now it's turning to a nice brown, and I'm out there in the sun, and it's going to get browner in the sun, and I hate it. I want it to go away. It's not pretty. I'm destroying my hands, and it's bad enough I'm covered in bruises all the time, but now I'm going to have burns because I'm clumsy. And this burn wasn't even on the oven. This burn was on, I had a tabletop thing where you cook eggs in, and I still managed to burn myself. Go figure. So, anyway, ramble. So I am currently working on 2 at a time, toe up socks for my boyfriend. And I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know if he's going to keep these or give them to a friend at work. Because one of his friends at work I make socks for too, and so they both have the same foot size, and they both like socks made the same way. So I don't know if he's going to give these to his friend or keep them. I don't know. My boyfriend has like 40 pairs of freaking socks by now, so whatever he wants to do is fine. But I just want to get these done because they've been on the needles too long. So yeah, and as you can see, I knit Continental. And sorry my camera won't focus while I'm moving. I'm just using my camera phone and it's not the best quality. But I just do them like this on a magic loop. This is magic loop, by the way, if you guys don't know. It's just a really long cord. So I have both socks on one cord, and I just work on one sock at a time in a circle. So both socks are being finished at the same time. And this sock yarn is self-striping, so you can see it's doing some really cool stripes and colors. It kind of goofed up here, you guys. The colors, the light gray stripe, yeah, that's a gray. Light gray faded out on some parts unintentionally, because you can tell that wasn't what they were going for. But I love the self-striping Croy. Like I said, a really hard-working sock yarn lasts a really, really long time. Where am I? I flipped my socks around. And he likes to have the garter heel, garter fish lips heel, and ribbing on the bottom. So it's usually how I make them for him. So it's usually how you'll see them when I'm making him socks. I think I'm going to make me some socks next. So work on these in the meantime. So I just want to do some shout outs. I haven't done shout outs in forever, and people I've been watching. So let's see, who have I been watching? Oh, Fiber Spider. Fiber Spider hit 100,000 subscribers, and that is fantastic. So that is super awesome. If you don't know Fiber Spider, he does tutorials, and he does gaming, and he does reading, like reading books and stuff, because he's a very soothing voice, so he likes to read classics that aren't copywritten, so the old things that are no longer under copyright, like, you know, the old classics. I think he was doing Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, Fiber Spider. Craig's awesome, so if you don't know about him, go check him out. I'll try to link everybody down below. Who else? Oh, Llama Mama Kayla. I was going to do her shout out because she does the bingo. So the yarn bingo every month. She'll put together a bingo card. If you're interested or you want to find out what that's about, I'll link her below. And she's also doing loom knitting classes. Basically, I call them classes. So if you are a loom knitter, or you're a beginning loom knitter, or you have a loom and are not friends with it, go watch Kayla, because she's doing all kinds of loom classes. Loom knitting just kind of freaks me out, because it just seems like I have no idea how it works. So I've been watching just to figure it out and go, oh, especially when you get into increasing, decreasing, or, you know, any of that stuff. So it's really informative. Who else? I've been watching Nana's Stitching Lounge with Nana, or Rosie M, I should say. And she does really awesome work, and I love her videos. Who else have I been watching? Shout out wise too is I've been watching Ella with No Catchy Name. I've been watching Happiness is Homemade with Karen. I've been watching, hope it's Karen. Karen, if it's not Karen, I'm sorry. Teadoddles. I watched Teadoddles with Christy Cook, who I bought the bag from. Let's see, I've got it written down, but I've kind of got it spread out all over crazy. I got Cozy Cottage Crochet. I watch her pretty consistently. I think she's going to release some new patterns soon. She does a lot of shawls, a lot of pretty shawl design. Rose likes crochet, and she's been doing some shopping. She hit all the clearance sales at the Hobby Lobbies. She must have really good yarn places, because my Walmart is crap for yarn. They have a horrible yarn section. My Michaels is meh. It's okay. My Hobby Lobby's okay, but when they do clearance, they don't put everything in one spot. They just clearance mark it in the aisles. And every time I've gone, every single clearance area is cleaned out. So I do not get there in time, ever. So I don't even try. Well, I'm broke anyway, but when I do have a little money, I try to hit those clearance sales, and I never have good luck, but Rose put a picture on Instagram of her hitting her Hobby Lobby clearance, and she had bags and bags of stuff. So I can't wait to watch that video so I can be super jealous. Rose always gets the good sales. She knows what she's doing. And who else? Made by Mum. I just got, somebody brought her up. Who was it? Oh, I can't give credit, but another podcaster gave a shout out for Made by Mum, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was off the top of my head. So I went over there and subscribed, and she's adorable. She's Scottish, I think. Pretty sure. So she's super fun to listen to. And so I'll link her down below too. She's a smaller channel, so give her some love. And I think that's it. I mean, I watch a lot more, but I kind of just went into my recent watch feed, history, to try to get who I've been watching lately, past couple of days. Yeah, I think that is it. Oh, I also wanted to give a shout out to a channel that is not yarn related, and it's called Kelsey Animated, and she is hilarious. She's 17 about, at least the one I watched, she said she was 17. It could be a 3-year-old video, but I think it was fairly recent. And she animates her videos cartoon style, and they're hilarious. Like, she'll put her life in cartoon world, and they're just super fun to watch. So she'll just tell you about what's going on with her. Like, she just had a health scare, and she was, telling you what happened in the hospitals, the ERs, the whole deal, and it was hilarious. And so definitely watch her. I'll link her down below, but she was adorable to watch. So, and she reminds me of my kids a lot, which my kids are all grown, but similar sense of humor. And so yeah, so I guess that's it for shoutouts, really. Yeah, that's all I can think of. And for current projects, I guess we'll just go into whips. Of course, these socks, which I'm hoping to get finished pretty soon because they've been on the needle for a while. I have barely touched them, but I picked them up last night to put the heels in and get going because I want to get these finished. And then I think like I said, I might put a pair of socks on for me. I might not. It is summer. It's kind of hard to do certain things in the summer for me, and socks, even though they're nice and portable and light and they're not on your lap really, I don't know, it's just not as much fun to make socks in the summer for me. And I don't do shorty socks, I do long socks. I try to use up as much sock yarn as possible on one pair, and then maybe a shorty pair later, like out of the leftovers. But I don't like shorties only because they don't stay on my feet very well. I don't know. But so, I don't know, I guess my sock mojo still isn't back. I've been complaining about that, but I just don't have sock mojo. Plus, depending on my hand weakness and everything, sometimes socks are kind of a struggle with the little needles. But they're really nice to zone out on, for sure. Like when I watch podcasts or I listen to podcasts, I can just, channels, I can just go round and round, and not really think about it. So it is a zen thing, as long as you're not doing crazy patterning or anything. Because on the back, I'm not doing any ribbing, but on the front, I'm doing 2x2. Am I doing 2x2? Yeah, I'm doing 2x2 ribbing. And when you're on autopilot, you just do it. You just do it. You don't even have to think about it. You see a knit, you knit it. You see a purl, you purl it. In fact, I go into autopilot way too much. Like, I'll mess up patterns because I go into autopilot. I think I messed up on one of these heels. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, you see here? This is supposed to look like this, but what happened was I had gone autopilot and purled back. This is just garter, so you knit every row, you knit front and back. And I had gone and purled on the other side, and so I made stockinette stitch for a couple of rows. But I wasn't going to rip it back because by the time I caught it, I was already here. So yeah. Maybe Carl will keep them because I don't want to give them to his friend like that. I forgot about that mistake. But yeah, I'm not ripping that back. But that was autopilot. That was me just seeing a purl side and then purling it. Instead of realizing that, you know, it's garter and you're just supposed to knit every row. So, but anyway, my whole point is, under normal circumstances, you really don't have to think about it. And you can just go, which is why I can talk and knit at the same time on socks, kind of, sort of. So I don't really have much going on. I have these socks, which I'm trying to finish up. Anything else on the... Oh, hold on. Let me show you my Mary Maxim for... because the socks are knitted, and then my other knitted project that's taking forever because it's knitting is the baby blanket kit, a Mary Maxim knit kit for February. So I'm almost done. Let me raise this up since I'm showing stuff. I'm almost done. So you can see I've got from here to here. I really like the yarn. I really like the pattern. The pattern is really pretty. I like how the yarn transitions, and this stuff is like, it's of course Mary Maxim Trendy Baby. Most of the yarn you get is theirs. Sometimes they'll do other brands, but this is like closest to ice cream yarn. So it's very, very much like the ice cream yarn. So I'm going to finish this up and then do the little hat that goes with, and maybe some booties, and then I can get that done. But I've been neglecting my knitting. And that's it for whips, I should say. So I will go into finished here. I just don't want to leave this halfway through a sock. But I finished a blanket square from Jade Stitches, and I totally goofed it somehow, so I'm going to show you what I did here. Alright, so here is the blanket square. Sorry, I keep bumping the camera. And this is for September. It's September square, which is an apple square, and because I'm trying to do glitter on each of my squares, I just did the whole apple and glitter because I thought it would be cute. And this square looks fine, looks like an apple, right? Well, it's bigger. It's bigger. So let me recap my squares for somebody who may not have seen. This is the Jade Stitches calendar blanket. So here's January, sparkle in the scarf. February, sparkle in the hearts. March, sparkle in the clover. April, sparkle in the bow tie. May, sparkle in the butterfly, which doesn't look like a butterfly. June, sparkle in the cheeks. July, which I'm redoing this square, but eventually there will be a yellow sparkle sun. I just can't find yellow sparkle. I can't find it anywhere. Hobby Lobby doesn't carry yellow sparkle when I've looked, but I don't like the yarn in this one, and I'm gonna replace the I'm gonna rip back, replace this with a different tan, and then put a yellow sparkle sun. So this one's kind of just in limbo. July, camper with a little sparkle, pink sparkle, and then August, which is huge. As you can see, it is bigger than all the other squares. And that makes me think, did I mess these up? Was there supposed to be 3 rounds all the way around? And I'm like, no, because I make it with Jada every video. I don't know what I did. So I don't know if I added an extra row, but I like this size better, and I'm like, why didn't I do this from the beginning? Because my squares ended up being a little smaller than they should have been. And I could have just expanded the color duh, and then put the border on, and they would have been more the size I want. So now I've got a choice, and you guys can help me with this. I either rip this back, rip out the white border, rip back a color, put the white border back on so it's the same size as all the other squares. Or I see if I have all of these colors still in stash and then rip off the border and make all the other squares bigger. And then put on the white border, which is a lot more work. But I do like the size of this square better. So I'm pondering on this. It's going to go in the timeout. But I like the size of this square. And when I attach them all, I'm going to use probably a different color. Maybe a gray or something to tie it all together. And add like an extra border. But meanwhile, I've got a huge size change. Like this. And I definitely like the bigger size better. And I'm wondering why I didn't think just to put another round of the color on first. I think it was because I was just staying the same size. I wasn't thinking about it because they're all the same size and I'm making it the way Jada says, and then somehow I did this. I don't know, you guys, what do you think? Just rip this back, put the border back on, and then worry about, you know, the squares when I attach, making them bigger, or ripping back all the squares and making them bigger. Now there's a problem. There's a logistics problem with March. So with March, if I do rip back to make them bigger, and let's say I have all the colors. Number one, I have to have all the colors, which means I got to go into stash, make sure I have all the colors. If I don't have the colors, we can't do it. But let's say I have all the colors, I'm going to make all the squares bigger, I got to take the entire rainbow off of the corner. Which I was never too crazy about seeing the white anyway, on the edges. But that will be kind of an issue of ripping the rainbow off of this one in. But I could do it. I could totally do it. It's just more work. Or should we just say no, rip this back, make it smaller, and then deal with moving on and deal with making the squares bigger during the attachment. And you guys already gave me a lot of good tips about how to make them bigger at the end. By either adding more white on the border before attaching, or making the whole blanket bigger by doing alternate squares and solid colors, or there's just all kinds of things we can do at the end. But can't believe I did that, but there you go. But August is done, and that means I only have 3 months left. September, October, November. Right? No, duh. Just did September. October, November, December. Thank you, brain. Which means I love next month's because October has a little jack-o'-lantern. November has, what does November have? I can't remember. Is it a turkey? And then December is, I think, a bauble, a Christmas ball. But anyway, we'll worry about that when we get to it. But so one square I kind of need to redo, and then all the squares I might adjust later. But I definitely want to get it all done before I finish all the blocks. I gotta make that decision before I do the next block, and then go from there, because I definitely have to get it done this year. That was my goal. So that was a finish, sort of, kind of issue. And then what else did I make? Because I also think this month in May, I mean, I mostly worked on putting my pattern out, so I didn't get a lot of knitting or crochet done. So I'm kind of short. But I did do a market bag, and the market bag was for, out of the yarn that I bought from Hobby Lobby. But before I do that, the only other thing I worked on was blanket squares for the Warm Up America Knitter's Pride Make-Along. And for the month of May, they had a little competition in Ravelry on the Knitter's Pride group, that if you made as many squares as you could for the Warm Up America, that you could enter your squares and possibly win a prize. So if you're a knitter, they had a knitting needles set, and if you were a crocheter, they had a crochet needle set. Of course, they do both. And I started to go gung-ho and use up scraps and stuff to make these blanket squares, which they have to be a certain size. They have to be like 7x9 or 6x9, I can't remember. I have a template I cut out for it, but I put it somewhere. But I knit some squares, so these two are knitted. I crocheted one, and I crocheted these. And all of these patterns are on the Warm Up America website. And they make blankets and they give them away. And you can send in the squares, and then they'll attach the squares together into a blanket, which is why they want them a specific size. And then they give them away to people who need them. But I only got 6 squares done. So I'm going to make a lot more and then pack them all up and then send them to the Warm Up America people. But this is not enough. But that's something I was working on. And I was just kind of doing whatever scrap yarn I could get a hold of. Because they don't necessarily put all your squares together. Sometimes they'll mix and match, like, whatever squares they get. So I was just kind of doing whatever. And then the last thing, because I don't want to make this video too long, is I made a market bag out of the ribbon yarn that I got from Hobium on my last Hobium haul. And let me see if I can get the tag. Yeah, this was the Lollipop, Lamia Lollipop yarn. And this was color LL010, and it is 70% polyester, 70% polyester, wait a minute, that's not right. 30% viscose, 70% polyester. Come down a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. And I'll put in a picture of it actually hanging on my mannequin, but it's a really big bag with a big crossbody strap. And as you can see, the yarn worked up really busy because I crocheted it. But it is a mesh bag, so you'll see there's a mesh section, there's a mesh section. And I made the bottom an oval, so here's the bottom. And then there's a ridge, because I did do the front loop only, or back loop only, or whatever I did. Back loop only. And then I made the bottom solid, and then mesh, and then a solid piece, and then mesh, and then solid. And then I decreased up at the top so that the top of the bag would pull in, because it was trying to flare out big time. And so I wanted it to hold. And you'll see this bag is huge. You probably won't be able to see with my camera, but it's deep. It goes down there. So, but again, I'll show it on my mannequin. And then of course just a big strap. It was all double crochet. And I had 3 balls of it. And the only thing that I had an issue with was the first ball down here was darker with less white in it. And then as soon as I switched balls, you could see more white. But they were all the same lot number. I double checked. They were packaged in a 3-pack. They were all the same lot number, so what can you do? And I did have an issue with the red rubbing off on my hands and on my needle. I was on my hook. I was using a polymer clay needle or hook, and the red rubbed off on the white clay of the hook, and it will not wash off. Even though the clay has got a coating on it, a lacquer type of stuff, it totally stained my hook. So watch out for that. But, you know, sometimes that's the way it is, because here's what it looks like in the ball. And so the red tended to come off on your hands and on your hook, if it had a coating or like something for it to rub off on. Let's see what else. It is a very tough yarn. I mean, look at this stuff. This is great for bags because that's not going anywhere. So I made a big bag because I knew it would hold a lot, unlike cotton where once you make it to a certain size it will stretch and stretch and stretch if you try to put anything weighty or, you know, a lot of items in. This won't do that. I made the bottom the way I made it so that it could sit flat depending on what you have in it, and then it will also expand down while you're carrying it and then lay flat when you need to put it down. I did the mesh and then I did a straight section, which I don't really like now because it really pulled the mesh in and kind of made the edges uneven, but I wanted more structure in the middle of all the mesh, just so, you know, if you do fill it when it's pulling this way, you're not, you know, it's not going too far. And let's see what else about the yarn. It is lumpy bumpy, so you'll notice that it's kind of ripply like this, and I do apologize about my lighting, you guys. I don't have the best light right now. Of course, it might help if I turn on my overhead. I can't believe I forgot to do that. But this, it did get a little darker out. This will lump and bump no matter what you do, because as you're working with it, you can accidentally change the stitch size. So let's say when you loop it through, it's more straight, but when you loop it through the next time, let's say that it's really twisted, you're going to make a bigger stitch. So it's kind of like a undulating thickness because of it being a flat ribbon yarn. So here I didn't have any increases or decreases, and it's still pretty lumpy like this. And then here I did do some decreases, and it's lumpy because of the yarn and because I did some decreases at the top, and of course the decreases are going to show a lot in this yarn. So, but I don't mind that. And it's going to be a really good strong market bag. And it's going to hold a lot and be nice and sturdy and indestructible. And now I did wash it because I was getting the bleed. I was going to wash it anyway, but I was watching it while I was soaking it. So I didn't throw it in the washer, but I soaked it in the sink. And I did warm water, not hot or cold. But they do say hand wash, no dry, or lay flat to dry on the instructions. Because it is polyester and viscose, so I imagine that could melt. So I didn't steam block it because I didn't want to melt it. But I soaked it to let the stitches relax, spun it out in my spinner, and then just laid it flat to dry. And I did try to block out the edges just to see if it would be possible, but it's not. It just bounced right back. I wanted to see if I can get a little straighter, but no big. Didn't expect it to work. But yes, the water did turn pink. So none of the other colors came out, but the red did come out into the water, but it wasn't a dark pink. It was just, you could tell it was definitely coming out. So I washed the bag once by itself to see how it would react, and then I washed it again after I attached the handle because I knew more red would come out, and I wouldn't want this rubbing on your shirt or getting wet and rubbing on your shirt and leaving red on you. So I did wash it twice to get the excess dye out. So you can kind of expect that with these type of yarns. It's not like a big, oh my gosh, they're horrible people, they do it wrong. It's just with the darker, more heavy pigments, sometimes they come out or rub off. So yeah, I'm really happy with the market bag. Like I said, I will put a picture in of it so you can actually see the bag, because I know we're awfully close to it. And I wanted to show you what it looked like knitted, because you can see the color got very, very variegated. In the ball, it was more like stripy rainbow, like that. But when you work it up, of course, really short color change is very, very busy in your face kind of thing. When you knit it, it looks like this. So here, let me get the bag out of the background. It's a little distracting for the camera. Let me get back over the white so you can see. So I just knitted a little swatch just to show you. This was on a size 7 and this was on a size 8. And you can still see, even knitted, you're going to have a little bit of the ripple effect because it's just the nature of the ribbon yarn. And also, another thing you might want to watch is if you knit, it really stretches this way, but not this way. So, but yeah, that's it. So this is how much I have left, and I don't know what to do with it. I was thinking about maybe doing like tassels on the bag, but then I was like, that's going to be dumb. Because I could do some tassels and wash them so they don't bleed and then attach them to the bag. And I was like, this isn't really tassel-y stuff. It's too floaty. It won't hang. It'll flop funky and like hang out weird, so no tassels. So, I don't know. There's so little of it left, but I did use all 3 balls for the bag. And each ball was 197.8, so 197 yards. So I just wanted to show you guys, because I know a lot of you guys were curious at how it would work out. Now I did see on the website they had done it in a garment, but even knit, which is a little bit softer fabric than crochet, I don't see this as a garment. I don't see it being flexible enough. I don't see it draping, because it won't drape. I mean, just look at it. It hangs like this. There's no drape. Even if it was heavier, you wouldn't get a good drape for a garment. And it's just not soft enough, in my opinion, even as an outer garment. Even if you go up like a really big hook or needle size, it's just not going to drape. It's just not in the nature of it. So, but I think it's really fun to use. It's fun to use novelty yarns every once in a while. It makes really sturdy bags. I would say, go so far as to say indestructible. As long as you don't melt it by accident somehow, it's a pretty strong bag. So, so yeah, I think that's it. That's all I've made. That's all I've done, except for one thing I made here, which was my octopus. So this is my second octopus for the pattern. So most of the month was taken up on him and getting him finished and filming it as I was working on him, and then all the rest. So feels like I didn't do a lot, but I did a lot, if that makes any sense. So and thank you so much to everybody who bought the pattern. I really, really, really appreciate it, you guys. Like I said, you know, I don't have any income. You know, I do charge for the pattern. I did do a coupon, you know, for a short time for all my, you know, YouTube-y people to make it cheaper. But, you know, I think overall I priced it pretty inexpensive for all of the work and for the videos in there. And you've really got to watch that when you put a price point on something, is you don't want to undermine your work, you don't want to undervalue your work, and you also don't want to hurt other designers. So it's always important to put the proper pricing on your pattern, so that you don't undermine other creators. Like if you go too cheap on your pattern and an equivalent pattern by a designer is charging more, you're kind of undercutting them. I don't think you should overcharge either, of course. You know, you've just got to find that right balance. So I think at $4 I kind of hit that perfect balance, because I did put a ton of work into that pattern. And then I can also put coupons on it periodically and still get a couple of bucks off of it. You know, it's kind of where I was going with my pricing. Plus it's an 8-page pattern with pictures and video links and, you know, the whole deal. So I was pretty comfortable at the price point that I had picked, especially when you want to do sales and coupons. And you don't want to undercut yourself or your work, you know. You know, there's a lot of crochet patterns out there that are I've bought that are 14 pages long or longer, because crochet is, you really have, it's complicated to explain certain things, and there's a lot more wording in crochet patterns than knitting patterns overall, which is why crochet patterns are so long. But it's a lot of work, and so I've paid, you know, $7, $8 for a really complicated pattern, like for dolls that have a lot of clothing and a lot of intricate piecework and things like that, and it's totally worth it. You know, when you're getting a 14-page pattern with pictures and the whole thing, absolutely, you know, $7 is reasonable for those. I'm really happy you guys have bought it, and it's nerve-wracking to do. Tell me I didn't purl anywhere. Nope, autopilot. It's nerve-wracking to release something like that, and hope everybody can follow it and everybody enjoys it. And so, but anyway, on my pattern, I just wanted to give a shout out to Sharon. Sharon, I'm not going to say your last name on here because, you know, even though her last name's on her YouTube channel, it doesn't mean she wants to be announced to. But she commented me, she bought the pattern, and she commented me, and she was telling me she'd finished the octopus, and she was thrilled with the pattern, and she'd never made a stuffy before, and the pattern really made it easy for her to learn and get done, and that she just thought it was awesome. So thank you so much, Sharon, for commenting. She's not tech savvy, so she didn't put on Ravelry or put a picture up. I wish I could have seen it, but you know, that's okay. That's okay. As long as you made it and enjoyed it. But yeah, if anybody else is making it, please put it on Ravelry and you know, link it to my patterns so we can all see your project and favorite it and all of that good stuff so that it will kind of go up on the feed when people are looking for stuffies. That would be great. Plus, I can't wait to see some finishes and see what people do. It's super exciting. So thanks for all the pattern supports, and alright you guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye.